Hey everyone, and welcome to an Echoes weekly roundup, I guess we're calling it. So, in these weekly roundups, which I'll be doing, of course, most weeks, we'll be going through the week's news and filling the episode off with the developer Q&A, which I have shamelessly screen grabbed from Captain Benzie's video. But without any further delay, let's get into the video, shall we? So, first things first, this week we have seen the release of the Tempest fleet issues and Navy issues of all of the other ships. These are the faction Navy battleships. For the best part, as far as I'm aware, I've not flown one yet personally, they are just improved versions of the Striker battleships. Not much to be said about them. At the moment, the best way of getting a hold of them is getting the pass for the Azure event. Yeah, it's behind another paywall, but as time goes, I'm sure we'll be seeing our budding industrialists assemble some of these themselves. Alongside these, if I can bring up the correct screenshot, we have the new cruisers. Now, the cruisers themselves look pretty decent, but there was a little bit of controversy surrounding them, as you'd expect of NetEase. So, in the Starry Night flight, on the pass itself, you've got your two tiers, of course, your free tier and your paid tier. On level 30 of the the unpaid tier, the free tier, there was a option box for these brand new cruisers at level 30, which meant that all players within the next 20 days would have been able to get one of these ships free of charge in the game. All they would have to do is get their 10 levels a week in. Nice and simple. NetEase, if we skip across to the patch notes, even specified in the patch notes that this was intentional. Complete the missions to obtain special faction cruiser option box. And then, further on, it says you unlock the manual to obtain the rest. So, of course, since writing those patch notes and putting it into the pass, they appear to have changed their minds and removed it from the free tier, making it exclusive to the paid tier. This caused a fair bit of controversy. Of course, you can still get them in-game if you go on the market or get them built. It's not the end of the world, but it did upset quite a few players, and quite understandably. Now, of course, we saw the release of the brand new faction cruiser, not faction cruiser, where's my brain at the moment? The Science carrier. As this screenshot alludes to, it is the first carrier allowed in HiSec. That in of itself caused its whole, how do I explain this one? This one created its own controversy. We expected this carrier's controversy to be all over making the game complete AFK HiSec, Care Bears, everything, everywhere, etc., etc. What instead happening, my English is really bad this morning. What instead happened is the Plex market just went bye-bye. It kind of went galactic, as certain adverts might say. But yeah, Plex is just gone, really. You can still place buy orders and sit in the queue and wait for somebody to fill out a buy order, to sell you Plex. But why did this happen? Well, it turns out if you buy thousands and thousands of Plex to buy all of these keys in game, you can get yourself the Science HiSec carrier. And of course, not everybody in this game wants to spend real life money on a carrier like this. So they're spending their past several months worth of grinding all at once on Plex so that they can get this carrier through the rewards box, which has a guaranteed drop after a certain many box openings. But of course, to open the boxes, you need the keys, and for the keys, you need the Plex. So there was a run on the market, and this is where we're at the moment. No Plex whatsoever. Now, of course, this isn't all bad news. Those of us that have been asking for some time now for small ship content will be glad to see in the balance adjustment, we have buffs for small ships. So in there we have buffs for the logistics frigates, buffs for the assault frigates, and buffs for guardian destroyers. So yes, there is no officially new small ship content, but the small ship content that we've already got has been buffed to make it a lot more appealing, let's say. Personally, I've not tested the assault frigates yet, but I would love to have an assault frigate go up against its interceptor counterparts, see how they fare off, see if assault frigates are actually worth taking now. Because I do quite enjoy the Punisher, and it would be nice if the Punisher could square off against the interceptors. Gives us a reason to fly it then, wouldn't it? Yeah, so that's that. What else is there to say? We've got new ships, we've got a fair bit of controversy. Oh yes, bugs. I really need to write down these talking topics. So, we had our fair share of bugs this week. The most notable one was the one whereby your modules would just go offline. Your ship's power grid was all over the place. I tried undocking a stealth bomber. Just nice and simple, a purifier that I was going to fly into nullsec. When I went onto the fitting screen to set it all up, I could not fit all of the modules to it. Every time I tried, I ran out of power grid. And this was a fitting that I've used plenty of times in the past. Of course, I'd remove most of my fittings and say, okay, what if I just fly with a Covertops cloak and a micro warp drive? Take off all of the missiles and stuff and just focus on moving it from A to B. No. Soon as I undocked, half of the modules that I had fitted would just go offline. Jump through a Stargate, go offline. Of course, you can keep on tapping the buttons to turn them back on again, but you got to do that after every single jump, and I'm sure it caused a fair few losses. Of course, NetEase have finally fixed that particular bug, but there were other bugs that came alongside it, like a particular implant bug that actually, supposedly, according to the developer announcement, prevented certain people from actually being able to log into the game. So that's a rather curious bug, not to say the least. So that's everything that comes to mind. We've got new content releases, we've got our fair share of bugs. It's not worth commenting just yet on all of the corporation updates that we've had over the past week because they're a handful, and the majority of us are not going to be seeing firsthand what those will do. I will instead be covering that in a future video, but let's move along, shall we, and get on with the developer Q&A. If I can move along to the correct screenshot, I need a better way of doing this, let's be honest. So here's the developer Q&A that I managed to shamelessly screen grab so I can actually do this in my own time. So, question 1 for this week. When will the release of implant dedicated for exploration type role? We have implants for PvP, PvE and now mining, but there's no implants that really improve our scanning for those data and relic sites. While we understand the desire for such implants, our current focus is on optimizing the basic scanning experience. Once that is completed, we will then start to plan on the related modules and implants. Thank you for interest and supporting the game. That is a perfectly legitimate response, because at the moment it doesn't matter how many buffs you throw at an exploration ship. If you're only going to find one relic site per hour because of spawn rates in the area that you're in, you're just not going to fly the ship. No matter how good its stats are, you're not going to engage in the content. So I agree with this response. Get the content there, make it engaging, and then introduce the add-ons to buff the stats. Moving on to the next question. Would you ever consider limiting the max camera zoom out to a ship's class and or range? For example, capitals and command ships can zoom out to view the whole grid. All other ships' camera zoom is double their optimal plus fall-off distance. This would improve the scale of ships, feel of combat, and add tactical choices for fleet commanders. Thank you for your suggestion. We're going on to the answer now. While we appreciate your idea, the development team has not considered implementing such limitations, as many players have already become accustomed to the current setting. We value your input and appreciate your continued support of the game. That is an interesting idea. It's not necessarily necessary, but it is an interesting idea nonetheless, and many players have already become accustomed to the current setting. That sentence has never stopped developers from one game to another from making radical changes if they consider it to be an improvement to the game. Hell, would EVE Online be the game it was today? I know I'm saying the naughty word EVE Online here. Would it be the game that it is today if the developers always said many players have become accustomed to the current setting? No, of course it wouldn't. It's called risk versus reward. Clearly, NetEase just doesn't really seem any reward for the risk here. But let's move along. So, this isn't even a question. Wow, okay. Disable the return of drones after the destruction of the target. That should have been put in the suggestions channel, not the in-game questions. Wow, okay. Maybe I should start doing that. Get myself some free Duo Omega for a month. Just put all my suggestions in the questions. They'll get just as much attention, apparently, as the suggestions channel. Anyway, we fully understand that the drone AI still needs further optimization. My mouse has just turned off, which is really annoying. And we will take your suggestion into consideration. There we go. It helps to read when you're dyslexic by having something over the words as you're reading. Might be a bit annoying for you guys, but it just helps me out. However, at the moment, we need to prioritize other more important optimizations of the drone AI. Therefore, we may not be able to implement this optimization very soon. We will continuously work on improving the game experience for our players. Thank you for your understanding and support. They didn't even need to pick this one out, to be honest, because it's not a question, it's a suggestion. So, yeah, that's weird. It'd be nice to see more drone improvements, but yeah, let's move along. So, next question. Much of the recent gameplay that has been released has been possible to be played in low-sec and high-sec. Is content being considered for release that is null-sec exclusive to offer incentive for players to be in null? Guess what? We've just had Corporation Citadel updates, which gives us further incentives to be in null-sec. We also have the... Oh yeah, I didn't include that earlier in the video. We also have gas mining, which is exclusive to low-sec and null-sec. And because people are better at defending themselves in null-sec, that will obviously mostly shift to null-sec. So anyway, the answer. Hey there, thanks for your question about gameplay content in null-sec. We're excited to let you know that some new events in null-sec will be coming out soon, as in already. It will give the players a chance to take on some unique challenges in null-sec. Hope you'll like it and thanks for playing. Yeah. Before I completely forget, I might as well include this halfway through the developer Q&A. We did have gas mining introduced this week. Unfortunately, they could have done a much better job with the gas mining implementation because there is, from a gameplay perspective, no difference between ore mining and gas mining. Your regular strip miners, your regular mining lasers, and your regular mining drones can all mine the gas. The gas is also found in the exact same locations as your regular ore. So at this point in time, from a gameplay perspective, there is no difference between gas and ore. It would be a nice thing to see something change up there, maybe give the ventures the exclusive ability to mine the gas. And maybe have gas in a scannable anomaly. Just putting that out there. Anyway, let's carry on with the questions, shall we? Since we are after on the dev Q&A segment. Will you please introduce new background musics in Eve Echoes according to the situation? For example, the original soundtrack from Eve Online plays when flying around in space normally. Different metal rock music plays when fighting in cosmic anomalies, which is different for different sector of space, etc. Music enhances gameplay experience. Please do consider this. Yeah, the music in Echoes can be particularly bland, and every time we get a new music track in the game, it's specific to an event. So it will only play in an event's particular encounter, like what do you call it? The instanced encounters, whatever you call them, or it might only play in the station throughout the event. That they don't tend to stick around. You know, they don't find a way of finding a place to play the game in to play the music in the game more permanently. So let's move on to the answer. Great idea. Actually, we're preparing to introduce new music into Eve Echoes, including various styles of music that will change according to different scenarios. However, due to some practical situations, we need to prioritize some more important updates. Despite this, we still believe we can have the music interaction in the near future. Stay tuned. Yeah, it would be nice to see some good music in the game that, played in different scenarios. As it stands at the moment, like many people, I play the game on mute and just put my own music on because, it's kind of bland at this point. We need something a bit more exciting. So let's move along because we have a fair few questions. Or do we? Am I going in circles? I think I'm going in circles. Hold on, guys. Was that one? Oh, okay. I think that's all of the questions then. I just seem to have the same one duplicated. That's probably Benzie trying to catch me out. Thank you for your idea. Yeah, so that is all of the questions. Let's move back to a nice fitting picture. So, is there anything I missed out in this week's weekly news catch-up? If so, please feel free to make a mention of it in the comments, and until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks again. Oh, and please subscribe. Thanks.